when you tell us go back, please remember where you came from. And when you want to relegate somebody to a specific place, just remember what your origin is in this world. Please, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I want you to understand that you, wherever you are on the earth, you're not a native anywhere. You came there and took it from the native people who are there. So please don't talk about going back, because if others talk to you about that, where would you go?
Hispanic community, we do not stand with you. Let me tell you something. If you came into this country illegally, you must go. If we went to Taiwan, if we went to Asia, if we went anywhere in the world, the first thing they're going to ask us for is our passport. The second thing they're going to ask us is how long do we plan to stay. The next thing they're going to ask us is for our email. The next thing they're going to ask us is for the address where we're going. And if we stay a day longer than what we're supposed to stay, they will drag us out. Drag us out. So you coming over here, breaking through the borders, looking for black people to come turn up and all this kind of stuff. We stand together. No, 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 no. Y'all looking for black people to come out to loot, to riot, to tear up. We will not destroy our communities. And this is a message to the black community. We will not destroy our communities. We need our stores. We don't need our stores looted in. We do not need things being broken in. What do we really have left, y'all? This is a real crazy time in the economy, so it's not really a time to just be rebuilding. People don't have billions of dollars to rebuild things that Hispanics are tearing up. Y'all making it look bad for y'all entire community. Your time of free money, healthcare, free housing have come to an end. I'm sorry that Joe Biden misled y'all. I'm sorry that Kamala sold y'all the American dream. But baby, it has come crashing down and it's time to go. Do not destroy our communities. It is hard enough for people to rebuild now. Get your bags and get to stepping. Go back to your country. Doing all of this destroying and tearing up and burning cars. At the end of the day, you still have to go. I hope that you don't think this will grant you a legal citizenship, because it won't.
Yo, and she said it. I don't know if it's anything that I disagree with. 98, 99% of every single thing that she said, I rock with. And let me tell you why. For a long time, I believe that other communities that were more affluent or less ignorant were looking at some of the ones that embrace black culture, which has been trashed for a long time, and at the things that we celebrate the most, they've been paying attention and saying, man, why y'all burning up y'all communities? Why y'all keep protesting? Y'all still going to have to deal with the consequences of your actions at the end of the day, and it doesn't solve for the issues, the fundamental core issues that y'all have within y'all community. And so you still got to do what you're supposed to do and take accountability and a responsibility. And that's how we are looking at the Hispanic community, the Latino community, Puerto Rico, whatever it is that you want to label yourselves. That's how we look at illegal, undocumented immigrants that walked over here in the United States of America, and you felt entitled, and now you want us to crash out with you. Man, get the fuck out of here. I'm not crashing out with y'all. I'm not about to throw away my freedom just because you getting deported because you did something illegal. I'm not throwing away my freedom for people that look like me. So what that look like actually aligning with you, and see if this was something that was actually reasonable. If you were an American citizen, if you were being unjustly persecuted, then that would be a different conversation.
Go back to your country. Fascinating. People love saying that line like it's a spell. But every time I hear it, I think, do you want the history lesson or the invoice? Because Britain didn't become an empire by inventing the tea bag. It became one by draining India so ruthlessly that between 1765 and 1938, around $45 trillion moved in one direction. Robert Clive stole so much silver and gold from Bengal that the land starved, and London still keeps his statue polished. Edward Colston trafficked 84,000 African people across the Atlantic, and his statue survived until 2020. The whole idea of the first world and the third world wasn't destiny, it was accounting. They emptied continents, called it civilization, and then pretended we were born poor instead of robbed blind. And it's not just Britain. Every powerful country perfected this formula. Different empires with the same arithmetic. So when someone says go back, I laugh. Go back where? To the countries you looted? To the land that built the roads you're standing on? And the irony is, even after all that extraction, they still need us. Remove immigrants and the whole engine stalls. It's immigrants keeping the NHS alive, immigrants driving the Ubers, keeping the books balanced, immigrants cooking the food that actually tastes like something. So no, we're not visitors. We're the return on your investment. Just some food for thought.
You just told me to go back to my country?
More than anyone else, we get go back to your country. But you don't hear black people get said, hey, go back to Africa. They already know of them as African American. Maybe because most of us are first generation immigrants.
A lot of our friends, their parents are from like the same district or village that their ancestors are from. It's so close to the root. We're not that far removed. This kind of goes to not fully fitting into this white-black dichotomy we have in America. Because as an Asian American, sometimes you just either lean into white culture or black culture, a mixture of the two, or maybe Hispanic culture if you grow up in a certain part of LA. That book called The Loneliest American by J. Caspian Kang, Asians not fitting into the white-black binary. Where does that leave us? I'm not saying it's an easy place to be, but that's why I think conversations like this or the content that we make, we try to have these conversations to help people work through it.
To my white brothers and sisters, I'm not politically correct. I tell it like it is. When I hear someone say go back to your country, it's always from a white person directed at a black or brown person. But that makes no sense because our ancestors weren't from here and we stole this land and we're still colonizing it. And when I hear black and indigenous and people of color talk about reparations, I hear a white person in the background yelling reverse racism. But that makes no sense because white people have never been and are not being oppressed based on their race. So white people, I have a question. Why are you so afraid of losing your position in society? Why are you so afraid of losing the comfort that white supremacy has given you? Why are you so afraid of actual equality? Learn up.
Go back to your country. Well, what if we did? Imagine if every black and brown person went back to their country of origin, discovered by whatever means. Here's what would happen in the first 30 days. Stick around for day 30, because that's when the truth really lands. Day 1. Hospitals, buses, supermarkets, construction sites, thousands of essential workers gone overnight. Services collapsed before the morning rush. Days 2 to 4, headlines are screaming, labor shortage crisis! Schools close early, warehouses back up, food deliveries stall. Parents scramble and businesses, they start panicking like mad. Days 5 to 7, the government hold emergency meetings like that's gonna help. Recruitment drives fail because there's not enough skills left in the country. Immigration police, once hostile, suddenly start looking desperate. Meanwhile, communities abroad are starting to welcome back their doctors, engineers and teachers. Days 8 to 12, the media run frantic, start running think pieces like, what if they never come back? Stock market dips, inflation spikes, and racists who once said go back start to complain. Who's gonna run our trains? Who's gonna clean our hospitals? Like that's all we do. Days 13 to 17, the supply chain jams. Crops rot in the fields, supermarkets ration their stock, and protests erupt in major cities as prices climb and services are broken. Days 18 to 21, the Western economy buckles and investors start to pull their money. Abroad, skilled workers start to build, sparking growth across Africa, Asia, the Caribbean and Latin America. Reverse brain drain is underway. Days 22 to 25, corporate leaders start admitting the obvious. We depended on them. Politicians try spin the thing, but the public ain't buying it, and confidence in the government crumbles. Now who's clapping for crumbs? Days 26 to 29, the chaos deepens. Airports still half empty, hospitals still understaffed, businesses shutting down left, right and centre. And now, commentators start saying the quiet part out loud. We asked them to leave, and now we're paying the price. Day 30, a month later, and the insult collapses under its own weight. Black and brown communities aren't the burden, they're the backbone. And now the Western world just proved it. They said go back, and in just 30 days, the irony was clear. But that's just the first month. If you want to know what happens in the first year, drop a comment below. And follow if you're done watching passively. We decode the myth, and we don't clap for crumbs.
80% of African Americans, stop pretending, cannot afford to come to Africa.
Wow, really?
I'm saying they cannot afford. They may want it in their heart, but America has them shoes, have them bootstrapped, tied. Because guess what? They have to pay mortgage every month. They have to pay their car note every month. They have to pay their insurance every month. They can't even watch DSTV unless they pay every month.
Wow.
So how are you going to have money to say, let me go back and learn about my family, my history, my roots from every month? You have to worry about, I got to pay this. I got to pay. When do you get a break to think?
Wow.
But that's the system. This allows me to control you left, right. Because you never have time to stop and say, oh, how do I work on this, or where do I go from here? You don't have that time. And when you live in America, most people, if they're being honest, on the first of the month, from the first to about the 20th, 25th of the month is when you finish paying your bills.
Wow. Wow.
You probably got about maybe 5 to 7 days in a month that you can actually think without thinking about paying a bill.
Breaking news, a lot of Americans, especially black Americans, they have started running away from USA since USA is no longer a bed of roses. There is thorns, and now a lot of black Americans have started embracing their African roots. This Hollywood couple, Megan Good and Jonathan Majors, they were recently granted Guinea citizenship after they traced their DNA ancestry to West Africa. Africa is calling all black Americans and the diasporas to go back home. All doors, they are open. Countries like Ghana, they are granting citizenship. All you need to do is a DNA test to prove that you are from any African country. Not forgetting also Burkina Faso. All you need to do is to do a DNA test to prove that you are from any African country. Even though Burkina Faso, they have banned USA, still black Americans, they are welcome in Burkina Faso. But countries like Sierra Leone, South Africa, Kenya, and Nigeria, this one you need a lot of proof. You need to do a DNA test. On top of that, you have to prove, you have to have a direct descendant. If you can prove all this, you will get a direct citizenship. The easiest country to get a citizenship is Benin. All you need to do is either a DNA test or to prove that you are brought there through slave.
If India's so great, go back. What are you doing in the USA? Firstly, I don't know why you're telling me to go back to India. I'm not even Indian. Secondly, I'm not even from the USA, so I don't know why you're telling me to get out the USA. I live in Pakistan, bro. Dangar.
I think it's so funny that whenever someone in America complains about immigration, the first response, besides of course calling you a racist, is to suggest you go back to Europe. It's wild how if you're of European descent, you can inherit the sins of your great-great-great-grandfather, but not the civilization they built. And I mean, I feel like if immigrants are coming here to enrich us with diversity that we so desperately needed, then wouldn't that be the same for the European settlers that came to America? Maybe they were just asylum-seeking refugees, spreading diversity and inclusion to a new continent. And I just think if America isn't anything real or specific to begin with, then why can't we bring America to them? What's stopping us from recolonizing? Because if y'all are just here to exploit the infrastructure, then why shouldn't we just come to your country and start building again? Just like the good old days. Because you're telling me to go back to Europe, I'm kind of hearing a revival of the British Empire is what you want. Because I know how much y'all love that British Empire. And by the way, I can't just go back to Europe because this is happening to every single European country at the exact same time. Every single minority in the West has a country where they would be the majority. And white people of European descent are already the global minority. We're anywhere from 7 to 9% of the population, yet we're the only group mass immigration has been forced upon. Because what you're advocating for is not even an expansion of equality or even equity for that matter. You're arguing for a double standard that because of my skin tone, I deserve to be dispossessed out of my homeland. Only feeble-minded, groupthink, anti-whiteness studies majors think it has anything to do with colonization at this point. It's a lie. Plus, mass immigration is being forced on European countries that never colonized, never had slaves, and never had an empire, such as Ireland. Simultaneously, mass migration is not being forced on other countries that did have empires, such as Japan, Turkey, Mongolia, or any of the Middle Eastern states. Also, more people have come to Britain in the last 50 years than in the entire 5,000 years prior. And come to think of it, all places where white people have been the minority, how'd it work out for them? Because we could look at South Africa, Asia, French Algeria, Haiti, because decolonization is just code for ethnic cleansing, but make it woke. It's when you get rid of white people, but keep everything they built on the land for yourself. Because these people fled from their own countries because they didn't like the standard of living there, but they think that standard of living should be forced upon all of us in our countries. In fact, they think these countries don't even belong to us because our government has done an amazing job through media, institutions, and education of creating an environment of anti-whiteness. No racism is tolerated except for racism against white people. This is good and acceptable according to US officials, because at the end of the day, America was always meant to be a place where people of all backgrounds could get together, throw away their differences, and hate on white people together. And it's so inclusive that even fellow whites can join in on the hate. And if they don't, we'll just accuse them of being racist. So I've decided I just don't care what false labels people put on me because, yeah, I just don't care. And throw your biases to the side for a second. Just think about this completely detached from your own experience. Because it really doesn't make any sense for only and all white majority countries, the biggest threat to them being too many white people. Because it's a threat to who exactly? So how does that make sense? If we're controlling our governments and we're controlling the world, why is the one group of people you're allowed and encouraged to discriminate against and that are not allowed to have equal representation if every single other group of people has a homeland and a government representing them? Why do you think we're in control of the government? Why do you blame us for the government's actions? The more you think about it, the more absurd it is. We are allowed to have our own countries just like everybody else.
The population in South Africa is 90% black. But black people in South Africa only own 4% of privately owned land in the entire country. But somehow Trump is convinced that these 59 white South African refugees deserve to be housed and fed on the taxpayer dollar in the United States because they were being discriminated against in their home country. It makes me so fucking sick to see that in the same week that a 16-year-old girl had her face slammed into the concrete by ICE because she was brought here as a minor into the United States by her parents, that our taxpayer dollars are simultaneously being spent on an expedited refugee process for white people in South Africa, where they only make up 10% of the population, but they own 96% of the fucking land. Are you kidding me? And their justification is that they believe that white people are being genocided in South Africa. So all of a sudden they have a problem with genocide. Meanwhile, the United States is literally funding a genocide in the West Bank. And for the record, that's not even happening in South Africa. It's been disproven and debunked multiple times. And it's just Elon Musk spreading right-wing bullshit, white supremacist bullshit, as usual. That's all this is. It's just white supremacist bullshit all over again. I'm so tired.
If you're an immigrant, a permanent resident, or a citizen, I'm speaking to you. This country is not your country. It doesn't matter how long you've lived here. It doesn't matter if you've lived here longer than you've lived in your own country. It's still not your country. You know, Canada is very hard, and it's about to get harder. I mean, look around you. Look at the cost of living. Everything is expensive. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. They could barely afford the bare minimum. And it's about to get worse because they just passed a new bill. It's called Bill 60, where landlords now have the power to evict a tenant if they're 7 days late. I mean, just 7 days late. There's a new bill that they're working on. It's called Bill C9, where they take away your freedom of speech and your rights of religious expression. You know, there are some things in the Bible and in the Quran. If you say it out in public, you are going to be arrested. And that's what I'm telling you. Build something in your country. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. Just build something, do something. Because it is predicted by the year 2030, you know, there are going to be over 1 million people experiencing homelessness here in Canada. You don't want to be part of that. You don't want that to be your reality. And that is why I'm telling you, do something. Don't forget about where you came from. Because when something happens to you here, at least you know that you have something and somewhere to go back to.
What do you mean get out of this country? Go back to my country. This is my country. See that flag right there? I'm prior service military, United States Army. There's millions and millions of Muslims across this country just like me. We're firefighters, we're police officers, we're soldiers, we're your mama's cardiologists. We're the guys and the gals that are delivering your packages, we're serving your food, we're taking care of your kids in school, we're professors at colleges. I mean, come on, this is America. This is the great melting pot. Give us you're tired, you're hungry, you're weak. You guys need to learn what the Constitution and what America is really about before you go running off at the mouth. Really consider what you're saying. You want to act like the United States of America was a Christian nation founded on Christian beliefs, but it wasn't. Read the Constitution and it'll clearly show you. Educate yourselves on this Constitution and what it stands for, and then maybe you have some leg room to work with and some room to talk. But until then, guys, stop the hate and learn to get along. We're your neighbors. I got neighbors behind me over there. We're the guys and the gals that are mowing your yards. We're doing all these things. We're your neighbors, man. Our kids play with your kids. So cut the BS, stop the hate, learn how to get along with each other, man. Till next time, stay strong as a Sooner.